This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
James Teague, former Arkansas pitcher and member of the Teague Law Firm, now on halftime with us. And James, you know, I'm somebody. I just about 45 minutes ago, I talked about my daughter's birthday is today, age 14. It's like a Father's Day-ish birthday. We've had Father's Day on her birthday before. You know, you and your wife have experienced having your second child, so kind of brings the Father's Day thing in a little bit more focus. How's it been for these last couple weeks?
It's been good. He's really doing good. It's great to be on the show today. He's sleeping more than the first child, so that's always a plus. And he's eating great. So the two major things, we can check both of those boxes, and he's really doing awesome.
Do you know if he's a righty or a lefty yet, and what you have to do to turn him into a lefty?
Okay, so Brittany, my wife's dad, her dad is 6'5", her biological father. My dad, you know, he's a big guy. He's about 6'5", too. When I look at him, I get vibes that he's going to be, you know, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". So I told Brittany, we got to start preparing. You know, what sports are we looking at? How can we utilize this height to his advantage? He's only 2 weeks old, but I get those feelings.
Come on, it's got to be a pitcher. It's got to be a pitcher, and already I'm sure he already throws 35 miles an hour, even just a couple weeks into life.
Yeah, he's got a little weighted toy. It's kind of like a driveline weighted ball he's already working with.
College World Series starts today, James. You obviously have a lot going on, but will you watch? I mean, this is an event that you've taken part in. So, and I lied when I said I wasn't going to watch the Super Regionals. I didn't realize I was lying, but I ended up watching some of it. I know I'm going to watch the College World Series because it's such an awesome event.
You know, I was sitting there at home watching it, and I thought, man, this is pretty entertaining. Phil's got to be watching this. I can't imagine he's sitting out. You know, I was watching the Wake Forest games, and, you know, the Oral Roberts series is really entertaining as well. So, yeah, I'll definitely be keeping up with what's going on. I'd like to see Wake Forest face a big-time SEC arm. I mean, I know they beat Alabama pretty bad, but, you know, I'd like to see, you know, that offense is highly touted. Well, let's see what they can do with a Paul Skeens or a Dolander and see if they're actually that good. That's what I'm kind of interested in hopefully seeing. It doesn't look like the bracket's set up that way right now, but maybe they'll cross paths at some point.
Speaking of Paul Skeens, do you start him game one against Tennessee if you're LSU?
I think you do, because you really don't want to be in that loser's bracket. They've got some other good arms, but, you know, Tennessee is probably going to be about as good as anyone else you play. You know, we lost that first game to Virginia when I was there, and, you know, at that point it's pretty tough from behind the eight ball. So I think you always try to win that first game.
What was it like for you when you walked into the stadium for the first time as a player? There's a bigness to this stadium, you know. Compared to major league parks, it's about half the size, but compared to college parks, it's huge, and it's the pinnacle of college baseball. You know, you used to walk under that sign that said, "Earn it, work for it, Omaha," every single day as a Razorback baseball player. So when you finally get there, what did that feel like?
Yeah, my experience is a little different because I walked in wearing a sling. You know, I pitched in the Super Regional game, and then, you know, we won, we celebrated. Well, I had an MRI at 6 a.m. that next morning. So that Monday morning following the Sunday game, I was, you know, crawling into the doctor for the MRI, and sure enough, I had a cracked olecranon, but it broke the tip of my elbow during that game. And so I kind of walked in a little bit more as a pedestrian, unfortunately. You know, I was obviously still part of the team, but that was kind of a bummer for me.
That team that made it in 15, that was did you guys start the season expecting that you would make it there? And if you felt like that, did you truly believe it? Because nobody knew that Benny was going to break out like that. Nobody knew that that you guys would be in a position to host a Super Regional when you didn't have necessarily the resume to do it. And then when you got into the season, you start 1-5 in the league. It's like, wow, you're right behind the eight ball. But I remember that year, and there were a lot of people that were surprised that Arkansas got there.
Yeah, we were 15-15. I remember we were at Memphis, and we had a little team get together. I'm not going to say in the details, but we flipped the script there, and we kind of went on a run. It wasn't the most talented team. Obviously, you have Benny. You know, you've got Zach Jackson. You've got two big league guys on the team, but it was kind of just a ragtag bunch that I think a group of guys that really liked each other, really liked competing, and they just kind of found a way to figure it out. Maybe when they weren't as talented as some other teams that got knocked out of regionals, super regionals.
James, I want to change it up. Are you a golfer? Have you been watching any of this U.S. Open at all?
Oh yeah. I'm a big time golfer. It's kind of like my second sport. I quit baseball in high school to play golf for a little bit, and then I ended up coming back. But yeah, I've been watching it. The scores yesterday were lower than I expected, but it seems like once those greens firm up, those guys are going to have a tough time.
Yeah, man, it was pretty cool to see Ricky Fowler back in it and shooting a 62, and Xander Schauffele. It was I have to check it out today, but man, it's the last Open, it's the last major.
Yeah, the majors are always. I mean, now you have all the drama, with Live Golf and the PGA and all that kind of nonsense going on. So it's cool to follow the storyline of the guys individually. Like you see a Schauffele, can he pull it together and win a major? You see a Rory, is he going to do it, or this or that? Obviously the story with Ricky, him making this heroic comeback. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. I'll be watching it all weekend for sure.
I know we've talked a little golf with you before, and I feel like, and maybe it's because I'm just connected to the sport more than the others, baseball is such a humbling sport, and people will focus on the idea that of the hitting aspect of it. If you fail 70% of the time and all of that, pitching is just as humbling because, it can't feel very good if somebody launches a ball 450 feet off of you. And then, as good of a pitcher as you were, I know that happened to you. Golf is really humbling too. I mean, you see Rory McIlroy have this incredible first round, but the only thing that stands out to me is the swing and a miss, which, gosh, I can't remember ever hearing about something like that happening from a world-class golfer like that. So which sport is more humbling for somebody that's connected to both of them?
Man, that's tough. Golf is humbling because it's probably a harder sport, but when you're out there on the mound and you're feeling it, and then 5 minutes later you kind of lost it, and you start to hear the murmurs in the crowd, you start to hear people get you can feel that tense energy. So baseball, there's probably more eyes, directly on you as the pitcher, like, hey, figure it out, buddy, like we need you to throw a strike. Whereas golf, there's other players playing simultaneously and everything else. But I don't know, that's a tough one. My golf game is kind of like my pitching. I may strike a few guys out, and then the next guy may throw the backstop. I'm a lot of birdies, a lot of bogeys kind of guy. So that's a tough question.
Well, it's like, you know who you can blame if you make a good pitch and the batter just fouls it off or gets a base hit out of it. Sometimes those are the breaks. Like, you got nobody to be angry about on a bad golf hit other than yourself. You can't say,
can't blame your caddy.
You can say them's the breaks, but that's because, go ahead, blame your caddy, right? At least with baseball, you can say, the dude made a hit on a good pitch. What am I supposed to do?
I know some guys who blame the golf gods. They hit a tree and they get a bad kick, or it hits the cart path, or this or that. You can always blame them if you're getting some bad breaks.
James, I want to ask about divorce proceedings. You've got a family that's all together and happy, and not all families necessarily, stay that way. And when you deal with everything that you deal with in the profession of law, divorce has got to be something, especially in today's society, as something that, unfortunately is going to be a major part of your practice.
Yes, and it's really kind of the breadwinner at the firm. Most of our cases are divorce cases, and I think the important thing when I talk to people about it is there are so many variables from the start to finish of how a case can go. Where are the parties going to live? Is dad going to stay? Is mom going to stay? How are we going to do visitation, custody? Is there going to be temporary child support? Is there going to be alimony? What are the rules? Who can watch the kids? Can grandma watch them? Can she not? All of these factors, there's so many things that come in. And so I think it's really important to have a firm that does a lot of divorce, that's experienced with the judges and in doing these cases, to know, okay, in this situation, we need to do X or Y. And if things change, how are we going to be nimble on our feet? How are we going to work this to where, we can still advocate for you and have a good result? So, we've talked about divorce, before on here, but I think the most important thing is there's a lot that goes into it, and you need someone who knows what they're doing, who's been there before, who can advocate on your behalf.
James, I want to get you. Are we going to get you next week too? Because I want to find out, who do you got in the championship game here in Omaha? Give me two teams who's going to be playing against each other for the title.
Hey, I'll be here as many times as you call me. So if you call, I'm answering. But yeah, I will be here next week. I think I'd like to see LSU there. I haven't looked at the bracket close enough to see who can or can't go. But I think the two best teams coming in are going to be Wake Forest and LSU, in my opinion. I don't know if the matchup goes that way, but I would be hard-pressed. Everyone loves Wake Forest's offense. I want to see them face a big-time arm. And if they can prove it to me there, I'll say, okay, you know what, you got me. But I don't think Wake Forest is good enough offensively. I don't think they've seen the arms. I don't see them beating Paul Skeens or a Dolander, but I could be wrong.
James, appreciate you hopping on as always. Looking forward to doing it again next week. And, yeah, we'll keep calling as long as you're good with that.
Yeah, I'm good with it. So I'll look forward to it. Matt, thanks for having me on.
Thanks, James.
It's James Teague, former Arkansas pitcher, joined his father, Robert, of the Teague Law Firm. They've been around nearly 30 years. James can help with all family law matters, as you just heard, especially divorce, guardianships, adoption, and child support, criminal law matters such as traffic offenses, DWIs, and more, estate needs. Teague Law Firm is a full-service law firm, so you're going to talk to actual lawyers. They will call you back. Call James at 479-877-1688. James Teague again at 479-877-1688 and online at teague-law.com. They can help you. They'll talk baseball.
BetOnline is your number one source for all your championship finals info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and the latest matchup reports for this year's NBA and Stanley Cup finals. BetOnline is your sports intel headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your insider sports wagering needs, from baseball and hockey to MLB, UFC, and boxing. The fastest and easiest way to get all your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your home. Get in the action today. Head over to our website or use your mobile device to join, and be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive 50% bonus on your first deposit. That's BLEAV. Bet online, where the game starts.